What a very exciting intro to our live today, Trish.
Very exciting. How are you, Doug?
I'm doing all right. Trish, I'm a little bummed out, I gotta tell you.
Why?
A
Why,
little
my friend?
irritated today.
You're
Uh,
irritated about what?
You forgot to come to the Snoop Doggy show.
I am very sorry that I forgot about the Snoop Doggy show. I was working in my own defense. I was
All
I
right,
was doing things.
I suppose that's acceptable, but
I'm sorry. My boss can be a jerk, so I have to.
that's what I've
And if,
heard.
and if you guys don't know, he's my direct boss. So
Technically, Trish, we're a team. We're a
okay,
team.
well, as much as that may be true, I still have things I need to get done or I'll get yelled at or scolded in the least.
I don't yell. Have you ever seen me lose my stuff?
Never. I've never seen you yell.
Have you ever seen me lose my stuff and take my
Never.
ball and go home?
Never. I've never seen you do any of those things. So I do have a question before we get on to the pros and cons of reselling everyday products. Are you just this controlled at work or are you this controlled with like your children? How often have your children seen you yell?
I like to think I'm pretty controlled, but when I lose it, I lose it. So it'll be like, I'll be all cool, and then I'll, like, stub my toe and be like, "Vacuum!"
Okay.
Sadie
So
K, what's up? Sorry. Sadie
that's
K
okay.
from Alabama. That's where my mom lives. We'll get to that in a moment, but thank you for asking, Trish. I usually try to be pretty calm, but, my wife would.
Because one day we were in a meeting, you guys. We're in a meeting and Doug, Doug is not getting done what he wants or whatever. And he texts me and he says to me, I'm sorry I lost my cool. And I thought to myself, this dude doesn't know what that means if he thinks he lost his cool. Because if you live here, losing your cool is much different than I think if you live in California.
Well, that's Boston, but,
Yeah.
I think I'm pretty mellow, but I think my wife would
Disagree?
disagree. We'll see. But,
Well,
thank you, Trish.
you're welcome, Doug.
You did miss, and we'll say hello to everybody in a moment, but you did miss a fun, lively Snoop Doggy show on Bigfoot.
Well, I know it's one of your favorite things to discuss. It was a big topic at camp last year. Camp was
Yep.
perfectly. And it was a big topic of conversation.
It was, yeah, and it was very exciting. We talked about a lot of cool stuff. And I became aware of a couple things that people are like, "Have you heard of this?" The Dyatlov Pass incident.
Oh,
Very
okay.
interesting. A group of Russian hikers
Oh,
mysteriously killed.
ooh,
Was it an avalanche?
was it?
Was it radiation?
Ooh,
Was
from
it
Chernobyl? Were they close?
No, not Chernobyl, different
Oh,
radiation.
oh, okay.
Was it aliens? Did
It
they
was
come
aliens.
upon a secret military experiment?
And I'm going
Was
with
it
aliens.
I'm not done. Was it the embedded, KGB agent?
Mm.
Or was it, as Mama Lori said, some people believe it was a Yeti attack?
Well, first of all, as long as it wasn't an aggressive Bostonian, I think everyone is safe.
Don't make me tell my aggressive Bostonian story.
Okay,
So
I don't think we're aggressive. I just think we say what we gotta say, and then it doesn't mean anything afterwards.
well, the first time I went to Boston, it was it was an eBay trip, and we
It
were
was.
doing a video game convention in Boston, and I was in this little hotel in the theater district. What a surprise. I chose that area myself, walking around at night down alleys and stuff. And so the next morning, I get up and I throw open my window, and the first thing I hear is, "Hey, I'm effing walking here. F you." I'm like, Boston.
Ah, so nice to be in the town, huh?
Skinwalkers, very interesting theory. Sorry.
Here's the thing about Bostonians, and I really mean this. We will um tell you to just exactly what you said. I'm effing walking here, get out of my way. But I think we're going to also we jump in if there's anything going on. We're going to show up when you need to move. We're going to show up when you have a flat tire. We might rank on you for getting a flat tire, but we're going to help you fix it. Um And I don't think we're particularly nice as in, like, all warm and fuzzy, so to speak, but I think we are, we'll do what needs to get done, if that makes sense. And I also think, if somebody's gonna give you crap in a bar, you want somebody from Boston there because they're not gonna stand for it. They're gonna be like, who are you? Get out of here. And I don't know. I just grew up here. What do I know?
Would you, if it was needed, would you take the pocketbook off your shoulder?
Oh God, yes.
There we
Now
go.
listen, needed. The word is needed. Okay, not just for the fun of it, not just to cause trouble, but
Not just not just for fashion.
not just for fashion.
All right, well,
Anyways,
let's do the romper room real quick.
what is a skinwalker, Mama Lori? That's my question.
I know what skinwalkers are. It's very interesting. There's better. So Trish, we're taking over the show. There's arguably better skinwalker footage out there than Bigfoot footage because we
Mama
talked
Lori,
about it,
I have
Trish.
no idea what he is talking about. It's like he's like speaking Russian right now.
We talked about that, Trish, about how with our fancy cameras and our smartphones that take perfect pictures and perfect video, all the pictures and video of Bigfoot are blurry,
Uh-huh.
but all the photos, and this came up, all the photos of Trish are perfect.
Yes.
And we
All
thought
of
maybe
them.
Trish, maybe Bigfoot,
See, it does.
but there's
Hey, Chris.
but
Skinwalkers are the GOT. Does he mean goat?
I don't know.
I don't
Well,
know either.
are from
Oh, Game of Thrones. Oh. Those are
no,
White Walkers.
they're all, yeah, those are White Walkers. They're
Okay.
also creatures that can change their
Oh,
bodies. Like
I'm
they're
gonna
out
have to look. I'm gonna have to look into this.
look up
Mama Lori
Skinwalker
said
Ranch.
to Mama Lori said to Google it. I'm Googling it when we're
Yeah,
done.
Google Skinwalker Ranch.
Okay.
Anyway, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Hello. I have where's your thing, your
It's over
skull thing?
there.
Oh,
I
you're all right.
almost got it and I forgot.
Here, I'll do the Illuminati thing
Okay.
since we're in the theories. Hello, luxury.
That's
Luxury
Desiree.
on a dime. Todd is here, ladies and gentlemen. Susie, of course, is here, busy in her day. She has the brood gathered around in her palatial estate. Zach looking for hair tips.
Look, leave her alone.
Mama Lori is here, dropping some Skinwalker references.
Yeah, Mama Lori
Sadie
knows some
K.
stuff.
That's right. Maybe we'll do an episode on Skinwalkers to
Hey,
enlighten Trish.
Sadie.
From Alabama. All right. Yep, that's right. Susie. One Girl's Vintiques. Nan Reynolds, what's up? Let's see. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, Trish is here. I'm here.
I am. It's shocking. I'm here.
Evan and Moose are here.
Carolyn Nelson is here.
PCBA.
So PCC is a place like a camp
Okay.
near here. So when I saw that, I was like, PCC.
Very nice. Well, welcome everyone. So, if you're new, this is Reseller Tips. I like to say the new moniker that hasn't been approved that I'm going to use because it's me with TnTnD.
This is a new thing he's
Theresa,
decided.
Trish, and Doug. Teresa is not here, so you're stuck with TnD today. So we will be dropping the TNT. And this is List Perfectly Reseller Tips, our Wednesday afternoon, just kind of casual live on YouTube and other areas where we talk about reseller tips. And I'm excited today because I will probably get to say replenishables. Like, Trish, is that technically a replenishable? Wasn't there another word that I was obsessed with?
There was. It will come to me.
It was like
Um,
replenishable-esque, and I think because it bugged Teresa.
It did. In case you guys haven't figured this out yet, if Doug knows a weakness, he likes to exploit it. So he wants to poke the bear.
That's right.
So the idea is to have a different topic every week. This week is the pros and cons of reselling everyday products. I don't know why that needed that, but okay. For most of you probably know, who are regulars, that I'm a used clothing seller, and I've been a used clothing seller for, I think, almost 10 years now. I was trying to figure it out the other day. And so, everyday products have been my bread and butter for a very long time. Um, but there are good things and bad things about being in the everyday product category. And you don't have to also, doesn't have to be used clothing, you know.
Yeah.
I think Desiree, who is here, some of her things are everyday products, soaps, things like that, things that you sell.
So
Yeah, we're gonna discuss that.
yeah. All right. But
All
if you
right.
have questions, chime in,
Yes,
tips.
please.
Um, wait, stop the show, Trish, because we have very crucial question.
Oh, Susie, 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 Susie.
Susie, thank you for asking. Yes, I did work for eBay, if you didn't know, for about 4 years. So thank you so much. I was on the seller engagement and community teams, quickly for a bit on the electronics team. But thank you for asking, Susie. Thank you. So Sadie, good question. This is what I was gonna ask. Let's get a working definition of everyday products. Is it like my hair gel?
Yeah,
Like my okay.
I
Wait,
think it's
I apologize. Wait, I don't want this to get out there. I would not put gel in my hair. I use pomade, exclusively Savasito or Savasita.
because they were very worried about that, Doug. It's a good thing that you clarified that.
I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. Don't want that false information getting out.
Um, for me, Sadie, an everyday product is going to be something that a lot of us are using on the regular. That's kind of what I'm thinking. You know, clothing, shoes, house goods, maybe things, home goods, things that are you use often, though not necessary. I do not mean specialty items. I don't mean things that you're pulling out of your hutch once a year for Christmas. I'm talking about the things, a butter dish that you would use every day things that maybe most of us would have in our homes or use. And I also think Doug's replenishables fall into these categories of everyday products: paper towels, soap, some foods, some, napkins, paper plates, anything like that. I think just normal everyday things. Um,
What about peanut butter whiskey? To some, could that be a replenishable?
I'm ignoring him, ladies and gentlemen. This is me ignoring Doug.
Oh,
Okay, so everyday items to me have a couple of things in common, right? High demand. So everyday products often have a consistent and high demand since they are necessities. So things like, regular old clothes, not prom dresses, not specialty items, but things that you're using all the time. Jeans, tops, undies, bras. Those to me are an everyday product. Um,
what about my favorite T-shirt, black Calvin Klein T-shirts
I
that I
think that
order a
is.
couple times a year?
I think it, even though you're ordering it a few times a year, you're using it all the time, right? I mean, that's a regular staple for you. It's not like a dress shirt that you're just going to pull out once every 6 months. You're going to wear it once a week or whatever. So for me, that's an everyday product.
And so
Um,
okay.
yeah, go ahead.
And so it's interesting because I did this yesterday, not to tie it back into me, Trish, or
Everything gets
into
tied into you, Doug. I already know this going in.
into
Everything.
Savasito pomade. So I get 3 packs on eBay, probably 3 or 4 times a year,
Okay.
and I go back to what is it? Buy it again,
Yeah.
and it's right there. My
Yep.
3 pack of Savasito comes with a comb and a sticker.
Um, H. Win said, like an everything seller. No, that is not what I mean. Because you can, in my opinion, we're talking about the pros and cons of reselling everyday products, right? So we're talking about what the pros are in an everything seller to me. And each win, you could have a different definition of this. And if you do, then maybe it's true. But for me, an everything seller is an opportunist, right? You go into the thrift store, or if you're doing retail arbitrage, you're going in and looking at the low hanging fruit. You're looking for what is that you can make a profit on, and you don't really care normally, I don't think, what niche it's in, where it is. An everything seller, I think of as more of an opportunist seller. I this week can find 20 of those. I may never find 20 of those again, but I'm going to buy those because the ROI is good, or the sell through rate is good, or whatever I've decided that my factors of buying that is. So for me, the everyday products, what makes everyday products an interesting thing to talk about is that we can all get them, but I think usually the margins are small. They're not going to be home runs. They're not going to be items that you traditionally can make a very large profit on. I think things like I sell everyday used clothing. I sell Walmart brand. I sell Target brand. I will sell whatever I can get at a really good price. For me, um, everything I have is basically an everyday product. Every once in a while, I'll have something specialty, a specialty shirt or a prom dress or whatever. But most of the things I sell are things that people would wear every day in and day out.
And this can all change and it can be seasonal and
Absolutely.
yeah, interesting.
Um,
But I like though too that so if you find a source that's a good deal, that's why some stuff I look on eBay, some stuff I do look on Amazon depending upon what it is, but yeah, I mean there's definitely some stuff that I've become a repeat customer for.
yeah. And so I think some people definitely sell items from their homes. I mean, I think that's a lot of how a lot of people start, right? I mean, the government put out that fact a few years ago that most of us have what, like $5,000 worth of merchandise in our homes that we could sell, that we are not using. And so I definitely think people can start that way. It's just not a sustainable business model. Now, if you're just in it for a short term and you want to try to make some money, absolutely start with the things that you have in your home. So it's the type of seller, not the type of item. So what I'm saying is, if you're an everything seller, I think that's the type of seller you are. But you could be that type of seller and sell everyday items. But you could also be that type of seller and sell anything that you happen to come across. Um, Desiree, who is in the comments, um, she I don't know if she would consider herself somebody who sells everyday items, but she does sell a lot of items that are everyday items. She sells soap. She sells, laundry detergent, things that people are need weekly and that you're going to come back and buy. And the second pro about selling these type of items is repeat customers. If she sells an item that she can get at a good price and continue to sell it at that good price, somebody's going to come back to her because they've had a good experience with her. They've learned that they'll send it right to my house, blah, 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 all the things we try to do well. And they're going to come back and buy it from her again. Where do you get the personal care products, Trish? I'm so tempted to pick up the clearance items at Marshall's. Listen,
I think that's great.
I think that's great too, Mama Lori. I think, Lori, go and look, do comps just like you do at a yard sale or just like you do anywhere else. Do the comps. See if um those items are sellable, if they're going to have a good sell-through rate. I think that personal products are one of those things that you either have to find a direct source, or you're going to be always looking on doing, so many. I found 10 of these. I'm going to sell these 10 and maybe I'll find more later. Um, but I do think the margins are small on these things. So just keep that in mind.
And Trish,
Um,
I do see some other things that like
yeah.
I buy I I know it's a shocker, I'm very particular. I
Yep.
buy special pens that I use
Yep.
with my special notebook, and I have to have special pens called Friction, so I have a source on eBay for those that I hit up every few months. I know it's a surprise, and now I have, this little glass thing that I write on, so I use special pens for that, so I like these. These are the pens.
Right. I'm glad you like your pets.
But
But that is the thing. So when I mean, people who know me, which a lot of people in the comments do, I got very upset with clothing at one point, and I was never going to touch a piece of clothing again. I was going to not sell clothing. And there is a place here called WB Mason. They sponsor the Red Sox. If anyone has ever seen the big Fenway, there's always a WB Mason thing behind Fenway. And they sell office products. And they have an outlet store here close to where I live. And you can go and buy pens, pencils, whatever they have. Now, you never know what they're going to have, right? They could have 50 million of this today and then none of it in 3 days. And I thought I would sell office products. So I was almost the pen supplier, Doug. Almost.
it could have been how we met.
It could have been. I could have sent you the pens.
One other quick thing that I saw. Oh, so yeah, party at Doug's house. So I do source, I mean, and again, it's like we joke about it, but it's true. I'm not a huge seller, but my stuff comes from my house and from my my storage unit, ladies and gentlemen. I'll get to, yeah, I see those comments. I was wondering if you meant laundry soap or personal air care as
Yeah,
everyday
those are. I think those are both everyday items. I think clothes, regular clothes are everyday items. I think pens, I think office supplies, I think um some food items, I think things that you would just normally use in your everyday life, things that also maybe you need to replenish. You know, the pen is eventually gonna run dry. And Desiree saying the margins are small, but the volume is there. And that's exactly right. So I think she's talking about Susie's house, but I'm not sure. um, so also the things about these, the pros are it's a broad market. There are a lot of everyday products. We just talked about a few of them. There are a ton more. So your potential customer base is very, very big. I don't think so, Sadie. I don't think that's considered an everyday product. I think that that's a niche product, and I think it's a good niche. And we're going to talk about why these aren't always pros, what the cons are, and why a niche may be better for some people. Yeah, Doug.
No, I'm just thinking, it's just some of the other pros is like, yeah, you've got a broad market of buyers, because this is stuff that is needed by people on a regular basis. Um, and then, potentially if you've got a ease of sourcing, if you've got a
Yep.
good spot to get this stuff. What about how much is there any valuation in pricing? Is the pricing pretty set, stable, or does it vary a lot?
I think the pricing's much more stable. I mean, there's always inflation. I don't mean like things won't go up, but it isn't like a pair of Lululemon um, a certain Lululemon item that this week is worth $100 and next week is worth 250 because all these people have decided they want this one thing. Your laundry soap, unless we're in a pandemic and things happen with toilet paper. I mean, there are outside forces, but in general, these items kind of stay at a at a more regular pricing rate. And I think once you know your pricing, you don't have to do as much research about how you should price them. You're not constantly looking up cost of good versus what it's selling because you have a very good idea of what you can sell it for. So I do think it's more of a stable and it's more manageable. And the other thing that allows you to do is to make predictions. So you can say, on average, I sell X amount every month, which means I should bring in X amount. So there is some stability in that kind of business model.
So you can look at your data, do more of what's working and less of what's not working.
Exactly.
And yeah, so a lot of times these things are not necessarily seasonable because it's going to be stuff you're going depending upon what it is. It's like
Yep.
you're talking about
Yeah.
soap, you know, hopefully you need soap regularly. I don't know.
Yeah, so you're not as worried about turnover, you're not worried about stale inventory, you're not as worried about, seasonal independence like you were talking about, you're not worried about I will only sell this in the winter. It's mostly things that, sell all year. Things that I think are seasonal, I think those are more of a niche product and you have to be more careful about how much you buy, how long it's going to take you to, sell it, things like that.
Well, and even, with stuff. not necessarily buying from resellers, but stuff that you buy from the store.
Yeah,
Most
absolutely.
people
Retail
generally
arbitrage.
get but I'm saying, like, when you're personally buying, I think
Oh, okay.
pretty regularly get the same stuff. Like,
Yeah.
we get the same shower soap, we get the same, not to just focus on beauty supplies. We get the same shower soap, we get the same shampoo.
See, I don't do any of that. I really think
You
that
mix
I
up your
like
shampoos?
yeah.
Like what? Oh, Head& and
I don't
Shoulders
know.
Bra? You get different
I
stuff?
didn't
You don't
even
get
think about it.
different things?
I don't know. I'm not a very good girl, I don't think.
Just look at, like,
Um,
pricing?
and yeah, pricing. Yeah, I know. But I'm a reseller. What do you want from me? Um, and the other thing I think that everyday products is the ease of selling, right? It's flexible sales channels. You have a lot more. You do not have to worry about where you can I sell this. Um, and someplace like Facebook Marketplace or even Craigslist, places like that. If you get desperate and you need to sell these things, there's a lot more ways to get rid of this kind of inventory, I think. I mean, you see people who have those like stockpile yard sales. Now, that's a thing here. I don't know. Is that a thing in California, Doug?
I don't know, Trish. I don't know.
Do you ever go to a yard sale and it has like shampoo and, that kind of stuff?
No.
Okay. So here they're called
Been years.
stockpile yard
It's been
sales.
years. It's been
Well,
years.
it's usually people who coupon or do the CVS stuff, and they'll end up with things and then sell them off. Um, But anyways, so that's kind of the pros. Can you think of anything else pro-wise, Douglas?
Well, I mean, is there some, like, platform advantage? I mean, are there
Yeah, I
limits
mean, I
to platform advantage?
that's what I just said. I do think there is like some flexibility in the sales channels. I do think oh, see, Patrick knew what I was talking about. Thank you, Patrick. Um I do think
Wait,
that it's
wait. Calm down, ladies. I know Patrick is here trying to steal my attention.
Doug doesn't like any
Maggie
competition,
Weber
especially from Patrick.
Maggie Weber will appear suddenly in the chats. But, ladies and gentlemen, I think Patrick and I are gonna be doing another live together coming up in a couple weeks, so
Good. I look forward to that. You guys are good together. And we all
yes,
want to listen to Patrick talk, so
I can hear you, Trish.
I know I said it just for you. Just for you. Yay, Trish. I go to the local gal who coupons here and has a huge yard sale of stockpiled daily goods. Yes, here in Wisconsin. That's where I buy my daily soap, etc. for the year. I agree. See, that is why Carla and I get along. Like we get each other. Yeah. Oh, cool. I'm glad to know that, Todd. Go to it. They're interesting. They're interesting, especially to see how cheap they'll sell them. So let's talk about the cons, Doug. What do you think the biggest con would be?
The biggest?
Yeah,
Low margins.
agreed. That's what I think too. And Desiree had already mentioned it. The profit is usually smaller per item, right? But the volume is higher. So but I also think it's something that it's more of a good that you can guess is going to sell them with how long, right? So I should be able to hold on to this for 6 weeks and then they should be all gone based on the sales, the sell-through rate that I can see and where I can see it. So even though it has low margins, I do think there's a other side to that, but there is one problem. Low margins sometimes mean that sellers will undercut each other, and 10 cents can make a difference in these kind of goods. So you have to be on the lookout for that. And I think also there's intensive competition because of that. Many resellers might target everyday items, making this a highly competitive market. And I do think that's completely true. This is something that you can really do well in if you're able to get the basics down and you're able to finesse it. But it's also a way that you can lose a lot of money if you're not really careful. So be careful. Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah. So what else, Doug? What else do you think a con would be?
Well, you kinda touched on this, a lot of competition.
Yep.
And if you're gonna keep this stuff and store it for a bit, like Lori says, you have to have a large storage area.
So for me, I have right now about 13,000 items. I was up to almost 15, but I'm redoing my inventory and my daughter is making some changes. So we're down to 13,000. So for me, um, it does take up 4 big rooms in my house. So Desiree is talking about FBA. FBA, for people who do not know what that stands for, it means fulfilled by Amazon. So there is a certain amount of people who do these kind of items and send them into Amazon. Amazon warehouses them. Amazon sends them out when they sell. I am not specifically talking about Amazon. I mean, I think these products can be sold anywhere. Um, so I mean, she is right. There is some, and there's also Casey Paris has a warehouse now that you pay and he'll send it out when it's sold. There is a couple more of those across the country. So there is some flexibility in this, but your margins are smaller and I think it's harder to pay those services. So that's another thing to be thinking about.
Yeah. Interesting.
Okay, so Doug, I think I probably know this, but would you buy a generic product?
No.
I
I don't
knew
think
that.
so. I
I
don't
knew that about you.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. I knew that. I knew you were going to say no. I knew you were not a generic guy. And there are a lot of people. I do not, Lori. I do not. I have dabbled in the past, but eBay has always been my bread and butter. Um, Desiree does, Theresa Cox does. So we do have some, eBay sellers. I am just not one of them. Generic products, I think, we can get a better deal on generic products and sell them. The problem is they're harder to sell because they don't have a built-in market. It's not like Tide and I'm a Tide girl, so I'm going to search Tide and I'm going to buy the Tide, right? I'm looking for detergent at a certain level, and it being a generic product kind of makes it a little bit harder. So, generic products are a thing in this category that I think people need to be careful of, and just make sure that you're really doing your research before you spend your money on
Sure.
investing in generic products to resell.
Gives me the chills, Trish. I'm very brand loyal.
I knew that about you. I knew that. Um, so other cons, what else?
Um, what about speaking of generic stuff, what
Yep.
about like regulatory concerns, issues, recalls,
Yeah.
bad product? Like
And
you got
also,
I'm not gonna buy eggs or milk at the dollar store.
okay. I think we all can fall into 2 kinds of people. I used to think it would be families who mooed at the cows and families who didn't moo at the cows when you drove by them.
Okay, okay.
But now with what you just said, I think we can fall into 2 types of people. People who would buy eggs at the dollar store and people who wouldn't.
No.
And you would not buy eggs at the dollar store.
No way, Jose.
All right, I want to know if you guys would buy eggs at the dollar store in the chat.
Let's do a poll.
Just let me know. I do think more than recalls, in my opinion, more than recalls, it is about whether the platforms will allow you to sell something. Um, Laurie, yes. Sadie, no. Oh, Todd said no with a big no. Oh, absolutely, Lori. Absolutely. We're cheap. We're not stupid. Um,
I check the expiration dates.
yeah, of course. Um, I'm not so sure about the regulatory thing. Depends on what dollar store. Okay, that's a good point. That's a good point. Um, I think a couple of things. I think that um See, I knew I loved Patrick. Patrick and I are now friends. Doug, you're out. Doug, I would buy eggs. I would buy eggs at the dollar store in a second. I have. I have bought eggs at the dollar store. Um,
Honey, these eggs are great. What's different?
well, I also live in Massachusetts and we are extremely regulated. Everything is regulated here. So I never worry about that kind of stuff. We call it the nanny state,
I live,
like everything is regulated.
you know where I live, right?
What'd you say?
You know where I live, right?
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm surprised that you feel this way.
I don't know. Um,
Um,
when you,
grocery outlet. Todd, what's a grocery outlet?
it's an outlet that sells groceries.
No, but does that mean like expired things that are about to expire? I don't know. We don't have those.
I think it's discounted stuff. Eh,
Exactly. Thank you, Carla.
we have a lot of farmers markets. Pretty much, honestly,
Yeah,
we get all of our most of our food stuffs from Costco.
I knew that, right?
And then like if we have to do something quick, there's a grocery store close. So I don't even know what grocery store is close. It's the one right up the road.
So you don't even know like the name. Is that what you meant?
For being so brand loyal. I like Albertsons though because they smell nice and they're nicely laid out and it makes sense. Some of the stores don't make sense. If I'm looking for something, I want to be able to find it and it has to make sense. Like if I'm looking for like let's say lemon juice
Okay.
or tonic water, there's
Okay.
certain spots I would go to and I want to be able to find it. Don't hide it somewhere else,
Absolutely.
you
How
know?
dare they? How dare they move the things you need?
Oh, Todd, I would never do that, but I could.
You would never do that?
No, I don't buy stuff off the side of the road.
Doug, all right, you guys. One thing we have learned today is that Doug is not a reseller at heart. He may have worked at eBay. He may have been an eBay boy. He is not a reseller. You,
Don't you slander me,
I'm
Patricia.
slandering you. Okay, market saturation. I think you have to be careful of when you're selling everyday items. Price sensitivity. You can only charge so much, right? Because if Doug is exactly.
I like farmers markets though, so maybe that's the same. I don't know.
It would be the same because those guys are just gonna go to the farmer's market and pull the same stuff up, isn't it?
Oh,
Yeah, Albertsons
oh,
was bought from I think Shaw's, which is here.
I'm
He is
starting to realize
bougie.
that myself.
I love when they're all on my side.
Oh, I think some of them like me, maybe not, but
They like you, they just now know
Patrick's,
you're not really a
Patrick's here.
reseller.
Patrick's here. So,
Um,
but I do have a
so
question when you're ready.
yeah, go ahead.
So, if you get stuck in selling the same stuff and there's an issue with your supplier, you could have an inventory challenge. So you got to be flexible.
It's true, and I think you have to be able to and this goes for anything you guys buy. This is not just about everyday products. This is anything. If you buy if you buy this for $5 and the market says it's worth 10 and you put it to 12 and you wait too long, maybe the market goes down to 4, right? Sitting on it longer is not going to necessarily mean it's going to go back up. It is only worth what somebody is willing to pay for it.
That's
So
true.
you need to make sure that when you have an abundance of things, or if you have money into these things, real money that you need to pull out to be able to keep your business going, sometimes you need to make a decision that I'm going to take a loss on this item because I need to pull it out to keep on going
Okay.
or whatever. So just remember that, sometimes things go down and we've all been there. We all had toilet paper and God, what did we pay for it? Or hand sanitizer, face masks, whatever they were. Now, I mean, you can't give hand sanitizer away, right? So nobody's buying it off of eBay, things like that. So it came down in price so much. You just have to make sure that you're kind of looking at these things, because you don't want to get yourself into a position where you have a glutton of things and then you can't do anything with them.
Because then you're a glutton for punishment.
Exactly. Exactly. So before we move on to um what I want to say about these things, I would like to say, if you get in this market, and I would be interested to see what Desiree has to say about it. If you get into this market, sometimes you end up with a dependency on your suppliers, right? So I can only sell if they're willing to send it to me. And sometimes that can be a risk. So if you're going to be in these markets, I would make sure you're diversified. You do not want to just sell 3 products, even if those 3 products are making you $1 trillion, and I hope they do. You want to make sure you have a backup plan, because those suppliers can say, "Yep, not going to sell them to you anymore. I'm going to sell them myself," or "I'm going to sell them to Doug. He's cuter than you." Whatever they want, right? So you just want to make sure you're always keeping on the lookout. I worry about consumables and insurance. If someone gets a rash, they can still sue even if you sold it on eBay. I do not know anything about that, Nan. I'm going to be completely honest. I really have no idea about how any of that works. I've never sold that kind of everyday item.
Hmm.
They charge more to the bougie peeps.
Hello.
It's very
Do you have
true.
any do you have any eggs today, my fine sir?
It's very true, Carla.
I tipped
Um,
you.
yes, I have several suppliers. Hold on. Can you pull up um hers to, yeah, that one. I have several suppliers and I'm trying now to buy from the manufacturer so I can't get cut off. Right. So, and Desiree's in this space. So Desiree is doing exactly what I just said. She's going to try to make sure that she can't get her supply cut off. And she also have insurance from Amazon and Walmart. See, I didn't even know how that works. Do they force you to get that, or is that an option, or how does that work, Desiree? Um Okay, so let's say you're not interested in this, or you're interested in doing this a little bit, but you want to counterbalance. What do you think is, what do you think? Like, do you think somebody should go all in, or do you think they should balance it out?
Me?
Yeah, you. Who
Or
who else am I talking to?
the bougie audience? Um, I mean, I think I would experiment with it. I wouldn't put all my eggs I'd never put all my eggs in one basket unless it was sourcing from my home, my
Yeah.
garage and storage bin.
Okay.
Um, definitely, yeah, I would definitely do that. And then, it's funny because we always seem to go back. This is why I can do these with you, is we go back to a lot of the same basic things. Is do some research. If there's something you're interested in, do some research on the marketplaces, see what's selling, see what it's selling for. And you still have to remind people to check the sold prices. Don't check what it's listed for.
Right.
Even experienced sellers sometimes forget that. And then and some of it is stuff like um not that a fidget spinner or something like that is an everyday item, but that exploded and a
Yep.
bunch of people bought them. So supply and demand, so that can focus in too. And it's like, um just try some stuff, try some niche stuff, see
Well, that's
but
what I was
see
gonna
what
say. I mean, you could focus on a niche product within the everyday, right? So think about a niche. So I don't know, Doug, what about like drumsticks or guitar picks, things like that?
well, that is so that would be like a regular thing for me, and I was brand loyal back in the day. At my most active, I did like we a show a month, and I would always get new sticks before a show, and I like certain types. So, but I don't know if I would order those online. I mean, this was I would used to go to shockingly, I had a routine. Show
I'm
day, I would
shocked by this, Doug.
go to Guitar Center and pick up a couple pairs of new sticks, and then,
Thing is, though, these places are not as abundant. I mean, for me, we used to have a guitar place maybe 20 minutes from here. Now I'd have to drive an hour to get to a guitar place.
yeah, that's true
You know,
too.
so I think some of these things are not as they were before. You could run down the store and get whatever, and now these specialty niche products or
Yeah.
niches within these niches, there are still everyday products, if that makes sense. And everyday maybe isn't the right word, but things that people are going to use over and over and over again. And for music, drumsticks and the guitar picks are the first thing that popped into my head. But like for artists, brushes, I don't know. I'm just saying, I don't even know if any of these things would be worth it. I'm just saying to think about these things, about what these people would need. Yeah. I mean, that is kind of what I meant about and are you saying that so it has a track record on eBay? Is that what you mean by that? Um, and one another thing to think about is if you have decided, you've done a test run, you like a product, you're going to go in on it. See if you can leverage a bulk buy so you can get a better price. The more you buy, usually, the cheaper you can get it. So think about it. I know it's money and we don't always want to invest it, but sometimes it can be worth it. So actually, think about what you're investing in and decide how much of this, do the numbers. Can I a product or a brand that everyone knows? Yeah, that's what we were talking about earlier about maybe not selling. Oh my God, what is it? What was it called?
Generic.
Generic. Thank you. Sorry, the one right out of my head. Maybe not selling generic price items for that reason. Um, and one thing I would like to say is, make sure if you're in one of these spaces that you're giving the best customer service you can. Use differentiate yourself by really good or great customer service because these are products people are going to buy again. So you want them to buy it from you. If I'm selling the Dial soap and this person's a Dial soap person, we want them to come back and buy it from me or the
Or others
pomade from
or
Doug.
other or or other stuff, if
Yeah.
they see some other stuff you've got. But like we said, we are talking about earlier is it this stuff always comes back to a lot of the basic things to think about too, is like you said, have do your research, have good pricing, competitive pricing. It's always a good idea to have good customer service, have good listings, optimize your listings, and always, always, always like whatever you're selling, look at other people that are selling the same stuff and learn from what they're doing, especially the top sellers in those niches or those categories, and figure out what they're doing better, why they're selling so well. I mean, is it their images? Is it their titles? And just
Is
always,
it just
yeah,
price?
could be,
You
yeah,
know,
could be price. Yeah,
and if it's just price, sometimes you find a product that you can't compete on because they have buying power that you just don't have. And they may be able to buy, a trailer tractor load when, you're going to start with a Gaylord and that you might not be able to get the same price. So just remember that some things you may have to work up to. And if you find a product that you think is great and you think you can break into it, see if you can start and, test it out.
exactly, exactly. But yeah, experiment, all that. Um, but before I'm looking at one quick thing before we wrap up. Any other questions?
I would like to say, while anyone's putting the question in, we'd love to answer them. But what I would like to say is that I think reselling everyday products like this is a lot more work in the sense of planning, getting the data,
Yeah,
making the decisions, strategically planning all of this out because there are inherent challenges that come with this. It's a highly competitive market. Things prices do not change dramatically, so you need to make sure you can buy them at a certain level to be able to put them in. So this is, I think, a more while listing I think is easier. because usually you have stock photos. Usually you can make one and then just add quantity, right? So the listing process is probably easier to do, but deciding what to buy is much more difficult than when you're somebody who's used to looking it up. What can I buy this for? What is it sold in the last 90 days for? Yep, that's great. Put it in the cart and keep it moving. Then that person has a lot harder time or a longer process listing it. So you're going to spend your time and your money somewhere. You just have to decide what you think is worth it.
There you go. Exactly. I was gonna look at eBay and see what I buy regularly for my my edification. I love that buy again option. Seriously.
So do you buy a lot of these products off of eBay, Doug?
Um, depending upon what it is. I mean, it's funny because yeah, there's my pens, there's my hair stuff. That stuff I get off eBay because it's a good deal. Um, and looks like I mostly buy books on eBay, Trish.
That's shocking, Doug.
And then we do stuff on I was looking for so if I'm looking for something, I was looking for a replacement dryer filter for the dryer because certain people in the home that have spaghetti strap things, our dryer thing sticks up, the filter sticks up a little bit, and sometimes the spaghetti string camisoles, they're not mine, get stuck on the thing and they rip. So it's like, get a new dryer filter. $80 a pop.
Crazy.
I know that is crazy. But let's see. Oh, thank you. Susie's starting to wrap it up for us. Must be dinner time there on the compound. Oh,
I'm sure she made something wonderful. And if sometimes she sends me photos of the things she makes, and I get very jealous. One time she made homemade Pop Tarts, and my husband really had to think about whether I had been the right person to be married to.
like, but
Homemade Pop Tarts.
oh, Pop Tarts.
Homemade Pop Tarts.
But yeah, no, this was great. Thank you, Trish, for helping spread your reselling knowledge. And I was happy to be here to provide some bizarre references and color commentary and reveal the shocking fact that I am very particular and bougie, as some would say.
I
Uh,
I am we're all shocked by this,
yeah.
Doug. Carla and I are very shocked.
What? And there are certain things I buy. I'm looking at the calendar. So we'll do the couple plugs.
Okay.
Um, as always, this is List Perfectly Reseller Tips. So we talk about a different tip each week. And then on Mondays, we have our listing party coffee talk with TnTnD. Last week, Trish couldn't be there, and TNT and I, or T and D, only got through a couple of our points. So that's good. And we love all the participation. We're glad this is valuable. And then Fridays now, we've got we call it the Claire and Amanda show over still here on YouTube. And this Friday our guest is Crystal Mouse, and we're talking List Perfectly's auto delist feature and how it's worked for her. So if you want to learn more about that, hit that up. That's Fridays at 11
If
PST.
you're just interested in a high volume reselling business, that's what Crystal is. Mostly used clothing, but high volume. So if anyone's interested in that, please come.
Yes, yes. And it's Crystal Mouse.
It is. It's Crystal Mouse.
And no, she's cool. She's great. And then obviously we have the Seller Community Podcast. Big announcement is we are switching to every other week on the Seller Community Podcast. You'll still get the same great entertaining content just every other week, not every other month, not every whatever I said another time. Thanks, Mama Lori, for being here. We do like to have fun and love to crack you up. It's very
Crystal's awesome.
Crystal is cool, got a lot of knowledge. And what else? We've got a couple, I think you're going to see a couple cool announcements coming very soon. I mean, obviously we have inside info. So it's important to note that keep an eye on your notifications in there in the system. You've got that new little widget, that kind of little smiley face thing down in the right corner. You'll see announcements there. And then also in the new catalog view, you've got notifications up at the top. Be sure to keep an eye on those. And if you are a referral member, part of the things referral members get, besides the best referral program in the business, is you get special previews of stuff. Sometimes
Yeah.
you get in special beta groups. Sometimes you get stuff first. Sometimes you get to preview stuff first. Sometimes you hear about stuff first. Thanks so much for coming, Sadie. We appreciate
Yeah,
it.
Sadie. So Sadie put on our notifications so you guys could subscribe, like, follow, ring the bell. We'll tell you when we're gonna be here. We appreciate all the things.
Yeah, and just keep an eye. Like this YouTube channel is one of our great List Perfectly resources for sellers, not just List Perfectly users. And then we've got we're working on a lot of interesting things. I think that you're going to see coming up pretty soon, some changes. And then that's the thing too with that referral program, is it's for everybody. You can be on any plan and get in there and just share your link, and we're going to start working super closely with you to help you grow that, help you make money, help you spread the word. Obviously it helps us because you're spreading the word, but you can make money too, and it's in perpetuity. We don't limit you, Trish.
Well, you
Not like
limit
those.
me. I mean, they don't limit.
Oh, we're not like those other like voodoo options out there that are
We are
scary.
not. We
I
do
tell
not
Trish
limit
all the
you.
time. I tell Trish all the time, ever since Trish, I found that tiki necklace in Hawaii
I know.
when I was the Manny for the Brady Bunch on that vacation. I have told Trish so many times, don't mess with that evil voodoo, Trish.
I know. I try not to. I
And
try to
that's
stay away.
and Mimi, we're gonna help you. We're gonna help you do that. So that's part of
I
what we're doing.
believe that's Catherine. I think.
Oh, that's right.
I think it's hard because some of you guys have the same names on some things and different, and I think that's Catherine, but I'm not 100% sure.
Well,
I hope you all have a lovely day. Doug, it's always fun.
yes, yes,
Behave.
it's fun. We are gonna do we're gonna do a reseller tip on consistent marketing.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, Desiree. See? I
Good
know.
job. Good job.
Oh, it's Leah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Leah.
Unbelievable.
I'm a terrible person, Leah.
All right, Todd, you can get better. You can do it. All right, cool. So you'll likely see our faces and hear our voices again soon. So thanks everybody, and
Bye,
thanks
guys.
for listening.
Everyone have a good night.
Thanks everybody. We appreciate it. We will see you next time. Bye.